Okay, we started again, and this topic, it's topic number 6. It's about documentation. So this is the session number 6. In the previous session, we were discussing debugging, and in the debugging, it was short discussion because we are having a video going into a little bit deep details. It's a 41 minutes video. So I shared the link on Connect, also on Discord for that video. So please, after watching the video, if you have any questions, we can discuss that during the class time or after we finish the presentation. So now we are discussing documentation, and it's really important to document your code. Yeah, before starting, I forgot to tell you about the exercise. We have also some exercise. Each week we have exercises, or each session we have exercises. So it's a really good idea to try the exercises. Then we can discuss what is there on our Discord or during the class. Good. I will start the documentation, and this is the PowerPoint we have on Connect. So here, for example, it's telling you what is this method doing and what is the purpose. So maybe, yeah, it will take some time to figure it out and decipher this method, as you can see. So in fact, having documentation will help a lot. So no documentation, no understanding, and without good documentation, still the code can run by the computer, but it's nonsense to the programmer and the users. If you need to maintain a change, so or something, you need to have good documentation, which will include good code structure, good variable names, good internal comments, good API documentation, good documentation for the user or for different users. We will see some examples. So better documentation here. So calculate the price, and this method received or receives 4 arguments. So it's telling you what's happening here, and then explaining what's happening in each block or code block. So it's telling you what's happening, and this is really a good example of good documentation. So sometimes we are just too lazy to do it, but believe me, when you want to update or change something or edit something or upgrade or whatsoever, you will need the documentation a lot. So some quotes. So always code as if the guy who ends up maintaining your code will be a violent psychopath who knows where you live. So this is John F. Woods. He was talking about the computer language C++ forum on 1991. Good programming is good writing. John Shore. Any fool can write code that a computer can understand. Good programmers write code that humans can understand. Martin Fowler. So we're starting with variable names. So we need to think about good variable names that are really readable and represent the purpose of the data they store in. And for example, here we have unit price or unit underscore price, not U or UP or X or Y or Z. So We have idiom of the language in this link. It's a really good idea. It's taking you to python.org. It's a really good idea to go through this one after the class today. So after class today, you will do the exercises and you will watch the video. I'll play also the video at the end of the class. So after this presentation, I will play the video. Of course, I will stop recording and play the video. Follow other well-used conventions. So usually we use I, J, K, L for loop variables. We also can use index and other ones, counters, and so forth. Diversion, Python idioms, some links to read later. So we have some links here, and this is really good. So the idea here, other programmers can read your code more easily. This is when you write idiomatic code. So internal documentation also are important. Or is important. Comments before lines, blocks of code, what you are doing and why, not how the code works, discussion of the algorithm being used, so you can highlight that. Any tricky issues or gotchas to watch out for. We need to add comments discussing why something is done and what's the purpose and the goal, because the code shows how it's done. So we need to answer the question why. It's really important to answer this question about why. This is the wisdom in the DECO model, or data information knowledge and wisdom model. So also giving the comments for the source code will give a good opportunity to so we can really document the different parts, and we can use this documentation also for building user manuals. So when I create a piece of application, I need to explain to users how to use it. So I can use these comments in the user manual and documenting the application for others to use and to improve also, especially if we are working in a team. API documentation also, we need to think about that. We need to do that. Either as comments before the method code and or an external document about the methods. And we have some examples here from the website docs.python.org. And the API, it's a contract, as we mentioned last week. It's a contract between caller and method. So documentation must leave no room for interpretation. Documentation must not divulge how the code works. So we have some essentials here. Know the audience that will read the docs. Clear explanation of the API. What is the purpose? Give examples on how to use the API. Short call examples, tutorials, and or whole programs. We need to document also all possible errors and keep the documentation up to date. The author have taken these essentials from this link, and good idea to go through this link. So last week, I don't remember that we had any additional readings because we were starting. So it's a good idea to go through the additional readings this week. So we can also have different types of external documentation, like API documentation, manual pages, examples, tutorial, as I mentioned, user manuals that explain how to use that program and or understand the user interface. We can use the documentation in the help if we are creating help files also, or creating some user tutorials, videos, or printouts. So we can use the documentation as a script for videos also. So it will help the users to solve their own problems. It will help them to figure out different features of your application. It's helpful also for the support team when you document the software. Again, we are not talking about small software here. We are talking about big application with different methods and modules. So it's less work for you because you don't have to deal with users or the support team as much. Otherwise, they will come to you every time. So this is taken from this link. Good idea to visit as usual. Best practice, make sure you know how to use your own software thoroughly. Note any tricky steps or operations. Decide what to document. Your own experience, what the testers tell you. So testers will tell you something, so you can document that. Any feedback from users or pilot projects or previous versions of the software. Support team also. Use templates, so you can have standard good documentation. Make it user-friendly and appealing. And this is again from this link. Best practice, you can browse some of these links here. 10 examples of great user documentation, how to write a manual worth reading, how to create great end user documentation. Some of you will work as programmers. It's really good idea to go through these links. More quotes. So writing software as if we are the only person that ever has to comprehend it is one of the biggest mistakes and false assumptions that can be made. Carolina. Hell isn't other people's code. Hell is your own code from 3 years ago. Jeff. Programs must be written for people to read and only incidentally for machines to execute. Harold. Then we have some manuals for Unix. So some structure here you can use like whole set of command from 1979 Unix. Name of the command. Let's have a look. It's really interesting. Synopsis, description, your portfolio documentation, variable names as discussed on previous slides, internal comments, and so forth. Good, let's have a look here. So this is 1979. Some of you were not born yet. So interesting. And manual pages, sections. It's a nice command. So nice name, nice, no hub, dash run a command at low priority. Synopsis, nice, dash number, command, arguments, no hub command, description, nice, executes command with low scheduling priority. I can make it bigger a little bit. So you see the name, synopsis, description, files, see also diagnostics. So we have a bit of structure here, and on the left also we have different related categories or categories or topics. So yeah, good documentation. Now, after this one, also we have exercises. So it's really good idea to go through these exercises. What I'm going to do now, I will stop recording. If you have a question, you can tell me, and I'll play the video. It's really a good one. It's about testing, debugging, exceptions, and assertions. So let me drag it here so you can see this one and improve the quality. Then stop the recording and play it.